The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
Welcome to Behind the Law. What a show we have lined up for you today. You will not want to miss a single second. Michaela is out, as you can see. I got a buddy here. Michaela's out. I had to have someone join me today. She's up covering Miss America, something like that. I don't know. But when I found out she was out, I said, we need to get out of the studio. We've never done this together on this program. Michael Mills is going to join us. You know, he's our favorite attorney when it comes to personal injury. But he brought us over to his buddy's office. It's a chiropractic clinic. You can see we're sitting here today. Atlas Injury to Health Chiropractic Dr. Michael St. Louis will join us to talk about how important that relationship is between attorney and doctor if you've been injured in an accident. And let me tell you something, it can make or break your case. Also, in the second part of the show today, we're going to talk about this new homeowners bill that the Senate apparently has passed. What does it mean for you if you've had any insurance claims on your house due to any of these hurricanes? It is a great show. Here's what we're going to do. Very quick break. When we return, Behind the Law continues. We have had not one hurricane, but two hurricanes over the last month and a week. You have roof problems. At the end of the day, you've seen some leaking in your roof, and it makes you very scared as a homeowner. This is your most valuable asset. What do you do? I'll tell you what to do. You call Universal Roof and Contracting. Our good buddies that are here. I called you Nick the first time, and we still make fun of me for it. Corey is here.
I'm Corey.
And Justin, who I
Good to meet you.
Yeah. Forget that one, yeah.
Universal Roof and Contracting. Look, we have a lot of people coming down here right now. I call them hurricane or storm chasers.
Right.
They are not trustworthy when it comes to doing your roof. Universal's been around for a long time, veteran owned. Why do I trust Universal?
Well, just that. I mean, 30 years. We're veteran owned, family owned. We are right here, just a couple of miles down the road. Also, Jacksonville and over on the West Coast as well. And we're just serving the community. And we're licensed, we're insured, we're platinum certified contractors with Owens Corning, and we will give you an honest assessment of what's going on. If you have damage, if you don't have damage, if you've got life left on the roof, or if you need a new roof, we'll help you get taken care of.
Yeah, when I think Universal, I think family, I think veteran owned. You gave a veteran a roof the other day.
Yeah, it's an awesome project we're involved in every single year at this time. We build it up several months in advance, and on Veterans Day, we do a live show, and we get to announce that winner and donate an entire roofing system free of charge to that veteran in need. So it's a wonderful project. We just got done wrapping that up.
How do I know it's time to call?
Well, I mean, right now, because of the storm, it's important to just get your roof inspected. You don't know what's going on. Obviously, if you're seeing brown spots in the ceiling, if you're seeing shingles in the yard, if you're looking across the street and seeing your neighbor's yard or your neighbor's roof that's damaged, there's a good chance yours has got some problems as well. So we'll come out and do a free inspection, no cost to you.
I'm sure you guys have plenty of to-do right now. A lot of calls coming in, but you're going to be there in one day. Corey, Justin, always a pleasure to see you.
Always.
If you've noticed anything after the storm with your roof, call Universal Roof and Contracting today, the only place we call when it comes to roofing. Welcome back to the show. I don't think I've ever been more excited than I am right now on this program. It's because we're in a chiropractic office, and we've talked so many times about how important it is after you have an accident. Look, you see these billboards, I got all this money or whatever, but at the end of the day, when you have an accident, the most important thing for you is for you to get healthy, all right? Trust me, these big numbers you see on billboards, these people are going through very difficult times, life-changing times for them, and it's most important that you focus on getting better, and then we can talk about the money. Very happy to be joined, as always, by our good buddy Michael Mills. Great party the other night, by the way. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You got it. And for the first time on the show, Dr. Michael St. Louis is here, Atlas Injury to Health Chiropractic. How are you, Doc? Good to see you. And we're here in a chiropractic room, and I think what I've always respected about Michael, number one, is, first of all, he's cool and a great lawyer. We know that. But the creation of this Injury Assistance Network, which was really designed, Michael, to have the people of Central Florida and Florida in general, when they've had an accident, to, okay, yes, let's try to maximize the case. That's what we try to do as lawyers, of course, but get better. Talk to me about why you created this Injury Assistance Network.
Okay. Well, I created the Injury Assistance Network primarily as an attorney. There would be situations that would occur where I get clients that are outside my core area of practice, and trying to find quality providers that I know is going to take care of my client, make sure they get the treatment that they need to get better, make sure they get referred out for the imaging that they need, or get referred out to the specialist that they need, all so that they can get better, but at the same time add that value to their case, because as their attorney, that's part of my responsibility to them as well.
It is. And getting better, obviously, is the most important part. But again, if someone's been injured, they deserve to be compensated for that injury as well. And you hire the wrong lawyer, maybe a lawyer who's just too busy, doesn't know what they're doing. I mean, we're talking about a case that might be worth $100,000 in your office. You go to a different lawyer, it might be only worth $20 because they don't know how to work up that case. The lawyer does matter.
Yes. The lawyer matters and the doctors matters, because what it starts with is that medical care and being able to document the injuries, the specific injuries that our clients have, because when it comes down to it, those are the records that we use to substantiate whatever demand that we're going to make. So it doesn't matter how bad the client or the patient is injured. If we can't show that, if we can't prove their injury and show that they've actually gone through the treatment and the therapy that's needed to recover, and that the recovery is, they're recovered, but they're not as good as they used to be prior to this accident, then it's all for naught.
And Doc, first of all, again, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. I think it's important. We're here in your room here. What is this room called? I'm sorry, I don't even know.
This is my adjusting room.
The adjusting room. And you've had a lot of people who have been in this room who have really had their lives turned upside down after an accident. And sometimes lawyers get referred to as ambulance chasers, we're just after the money or whatever. These people that you see, the people that are right here in this very room, Doc, you see their lives changed dramatically. This is not a fun experience for them.
Not at all. I see them, they come to me at their worst, and when they leave, they're a lot better. And in any car accident, there's always injuries that I've seen when they get to me. They don't get to me unless they are injured. Everyone thinks, well, it's just a car accident, nothing can happen. And it can only take 4 miles an hour to injure a disc. So we see a lot of that. We, after examining them, we'll send them out for MRI, and we see disc injury, whether it be bulge or herniation, and then we need to know how to direct them with their care through the process to get them better, to get them hopefully to where they were prior to getting into the injury.
And when you see people here, and I see it all the time, where someone has an automobile accident, and they're like, oh, look, I'm not a sue-happy guy, I'm not going to do anything. In fact, I'm not really hurting the day of the accident. The next day, they're like, I feel a little something, but I'm fine. 2, 3, 4 days later, their back is on fire. Yeah. Why is there this delay sometimes after an accident before I start feeling pain?
So there's an inflammatory process that can happen, and most of our body is fluid, So as we go through that process, it can tighten down. And I always tell people our muscles are like big rubber bands, and then when we're injured, they clamp down and tighten down, and we don't move as good because the body's going through this inflammatory state trying to protect itself. And sometimes it just takes time for everything to show up that was injured, because some things are immediately injured, they notice right away. Some things it just takes time through movement and daily activities, and those movements and daily activities where that injury shows its head. And I've seen it where it can take even a couple weeks or longer, even up to 30 days for everything really to boil to the top.
Yeah, exactly. And then once they do get in here, so obviously if someone has a very major car accident, a lot of times they're going to get in the ambulance and go to the hospital. We get that. Sometimes you're able to drive your car away, or other times you're like, I don't want to take that ambulance ride because first of all, I don't know what's going to cost me, or you just don't want to, you think you're okay. But then a couple of days later, they are hurting. And it seems to me that the best place to go when you start feeling that pain is the chiropractic office for chiropractic care. Why is that?
Well, when we get injured and when we're in a car accident, obviously, hopefully you're wearing your seatbelt. And when we get that injury, we go through a flexion and extension injury. And that happens in the lower spine, mid spine, and upper spine, and the cervical spine, where people get the whiplash with their head. So your spine is injured through that process. And as that happens, it's going to cause injury possibly to the disc. It's going to hurt the muscles that surround the spine, but it also is going to affect the nerves that come out of your central, out of the cord that go out of the central canal there.
When I think about trial attorney and I think about doctor in this market, I don't think there are many attorneys and doctors sitting in the same room right now doing this. Michael, how important is that connection between lawyer and doctor, lawyer and physician, where you can literally pick up the phone and say, hey, what's going on with my client? Or hey, this is what I think's going on. that connection is pretty important, which I think really helps that accident victim, our client at the end of the day, having that close relationship with your medical providers.
That relationship is super, super important. It's important to be able to reach the doctor and see, what's going on with the client, see, how much longer, or if there's anything that we need to be aware of with the client's treatment, so that we can also make the insurance company aware. Say, for instance, the client is looking like, based on their injuries, based on the MRI reports or findings, it's a potential that the client may need surgery. That's something that we need to know, so that we can also put the insurance company on notice, so that they can pretty much reserve the proper amount to get the case properly resolved. And if we don't have that type of relationship with the doctors, with the chiro that's going to actually send them out for the MRI and then refer them out to an ortho or neuro or whatever the case may be, and we don't have that relationship with the providers, we don't know that. So it might get to the point where everything has been done, and if you don't have the relationship with the doctor, you don't know until you actually get the records. So you're not able to properly get that case set up with the adjuster, because we're speaking with the adjusters as the client is treating. They're calling for updates. They want to know, hey, what's going on? And if we're like, I don't know, that doesn't look good for us. They don't take the proper steps that they need to do so that they can get the proper amounts reserved. And it just delays the case, delays the resolution of the case.
Yeah, I love what you're doing with your connections with the physicians in Central Florida. I think it helps your clients. I see it every day. It's amazing. And Doc, I think the chiropractic care, that the chiropractor involved in the case is maybe an underrated part of it, because in some schools of thought, maybe it's the most important part. You probably spend more time with the patient, his client, than even he does. Certainly than the surgeon that you refer out. In a lot of ways, the chiropractor is the quarterback of the case. Why is that?
When they come into us, we assess them. Obviously, we want to see how they're doing with the musculoskeletal system. And then we're going to take in-house x-rays here, if they haven't already been done at the facility wherever there might be an injury. But then we're also going to look at different orthopedic exams to see if there has been a disc injury, and we want to rule it out with any MRI. So we send out to those facilities, and then they come back with the results. And if there are findings, we'll get them to the specialist, who's the neurosurgeon or orthopedic surgeon, say it's an extremity or shoulder, where they can get that specific care. But we're trained as experts in the musculoskeletal system, and that's what we can do as the first point of entry to do that and help them through the process. But also, they're going to come to us, and we'll do therapeutic treatment with them and the chiropractic care to help them rehab their injuries. So they're going to be on a more frequent schedule with us in the beginning, and they're going to see us quite a bit, and they get to know us quite a bit. And they may see the provider or the specialist maybe once every month or every 6 weeks, depending upon the severity of the injury. But as they go through the treatment process and rehabbing the injuries, they see us quite a bit. So that's why we take kind of the lead in the situation, as you say, quarterback it, so we can get them to the MRI facility if needed, and to the ortho or the neuro if needed. But they'll continue to see us through that process, so we get to know them very well and on a personal level, so that that's why it's important to have that relationship with the chiropractor and the attorney, so that they feel comfortable sending their clients that have become our patients to take care of them, so that we can guide them through the process.
Bedside manner in medicine, bedside manner in law are very important parts of any case, no matter if it's personal injury or whatever it is. I think that people are going through a tough time. Anytime anyone's going through a tough time, how you treat them is something they're always going to remember. Michael Mills, as always, what a pleasure to see you, buddy.
Great seeing you.
For the first time, Dr. Michael St. Louis. I'm sorry. I keep wanting to say Louis like an idiot, but I know it's St. Louis like this. I know. I don't speak any French at all. Keep up the great work, Doc. Great to see you.
Appreciate it.
And do yourself a favor. By all means, if you've been injured in an accident, maybe you've even already hired a lawyer. They're not calling you back. Maybe you're going to a chiropractor and you don't feel like they're doing the right thing for you. Call right now. Literally, these two are standing by after the program, 321-282-1055. Quick break. Behind the Law continues. You always hear all this talk about how going solar will lower your electricity bill, but your windows might be more important than solar. You have old windows, your electricity bill is going to skyrocket when you replace the windows. Guess what? It comes way down. There's one place to call when it comes to new windows, and that is Renewal by Anderson. Dan Brigman is here. Dan, always a pleasure. You're family to us. But at Renewal by Anderson, you treat your customers like family as well.
We really do, and it's really all about, we're just passionate, Justin, about improving the place that homeowners like yourself and our listeners live. Yeah. And it's important to us, and it's our number one motto.
How do I know, though, it's time to call you to see about replacing my windows?
Well, that's a great question. I've always said we don't wake up every morning and do a window inspection, right? We're usually getting ready and getting the kids off to work, but really you got to look for key things. You got to look for windows that are leaking. You've got to look for air infiltration, that you can feel things coming around. You got to look for seal failure. That's when, and I'm not talking about decorations for Christmas. I'm talking about the foggy, right? And so, and you got single pane, and of course the big one, high energy bills.
It's huge. That makes a big difference. And when you think about no down payment, no payments for sometimes 18 months, low interest rates, there are times where getting new windows can actually be free when you compare it to the cost that you're saving on your electricity bill.
Almost more times than not.
Yeah.
And it's really like this. I mean, if you take the whole house and you take every window and line it up, that's a wall and a half of pure glass all around your house. So think about it. You got bad windows or a single pane, you're paying your energy company to heat the outside of your house. And you're right. By the time you do the investment in our promotions, they pay for themselves in 10 to 15 years' time.
Dan, always a pleasure to see you, buddy. Keep up the great work and do yourself a favor. Call Renewal by Anderson today. Free consultation. You won't regret it. Welcome back to the show. What a weird year this has been for property insurance in this state. We've had 2 hurricanes come through. But most importantly to you, what you need to be aware of right now is a special session that has just gone on that are really affecting your rights when it comes to suing your own insurance company if your house gets destroyed, flooded, you have mold. Something very bad is going on right now in this state. And look, this is not a Republican-Democrat thing. This is not a Republican-Democrat show. That's not what this is. This is a show designed to tell you what is really going on legally here in the state of Florida. And I don't like this at all. I don't like it. Greg Krak is here, attorney, first-party guy, the best in town, if you want to ask me. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Justin.
So there was a special session under the guise of we're trying to keep property rates down, but I don't think that's what really is going on here. Something is going on here, and I think it's really negatively impacting every homeowner in this state. What's going on now?
Well, it's not just negatively affecting every homeowner, every property owner, so business owners and residential homeowners. I've read the bill, at least the one that came out in the Senate. It's about 105 pages long, and there's not anything in that bill that makes any promises to the citizens of Florida that their rates are going to come down as a result of this bill. But it does take away a lot of their rights.
And the rights are, and let's make sure everyone at home understands. So you see commercials on TV if you had an auto accident, no fees or whatever. That attorney's getting 1/3 of the settlement, or 40% of the settlement if it goes to a lawsuit. When it comes to first-party claims, it's handled differently normally. How do attorneys for these first-party claims get paid, generally speaking?
Generally speaking, well, as I've told you before on your show, I try and resolve these disputes without going to the courthouse, without filing a lawsuit. That's the last resort. But when that does happen, there is a law in Florida. It's a statute named 627.428. And it says this, it's to level the playing field. These insurance companies have attorneys on their payroll, in-house attorneys, people they pay salaries to on a daily basis. Regular citizens don't have that. So what this law does is it allows the property owner, if they go into a lawsuit against their insurance company, only if they win, they're able to recover their attorney's fees for the time the attorney spent on the case. But if the attorney and the homeowner or property owner loses that case, they get nothing.
And look, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for insurance companies. I have insurance, car, house, I have it all. We need insurance, I get that. But I don't have a lot of sympathy for these insurance companies that are crying poverty right now. In fact, back in May, there was a special session. They got $3 billion. This most recent special session, they got another $1 billion, I believe. Like, what's really going on in Tallahassee? Is this an insurance lobby that's coming in and doing this? What's going on?
Well, there was actually an article that was published in the Orlando Sentinel today. And so I know your show's not about politics, but it did show that the insurance industry donated $15.5 million to this latest campaign cycle of 2022. Okay, and in my opinion, they're getting a bailout. So this article also shows the exorbitant salaries that some of these insurance CEO executives have been paid over the years. And it shows that not anytime, but some stats show that when hurricanes have not hit our state, that these executives have been paid $14 million a year, all the way up to $27 million a year for these Florida-based insurance companies. And then when the hurricanes come and they have a lot of claims, which they know happens in Florida, they cry that they don't have the sufficient funds to pay out the claims and they need help from the legislature to bail them out.
Look, if you have any damage to your home, even if you have a claim pending right now with your insurance company, maybe even another lawyer. What's going on too is some of these lawyers are taking tons and tons of cases and then they're not moving them along. You have every right to seek another opinion on this insurance claim. Greg Krak is the man for that. 321-282-1055. I think it's important that the people at home understand what this really means. So in the past, up until yesterday, essentially, if you had a claim against your insurance company for property damage, the insurance company, assuming they lost, would have to pay your legal fees. This bill is saying that they don't?
Correct, exactly. That is correct. So this Florida attorney's fee statute that I told you about, it's been in the books in Florida since 1893, over 100 years. And it's a reason, it's to level that playing field that I talked about. So it's only if the property owner takes their insurance company to court in a lawsuit and they win, they're successful. Their attorney gets paid for their time. The insurance company has to pay their attorney for the time. If they lose, as I said, they get nothing.
You were telling me before that the Florida Supreme Court has actually spoken on this, about the importance of leveling this playing field where the person at home who doesn't have $1 billion, who's struggling to put gas in their car, can afford to fight an insurance company that's underpaying them. The Supreme Court spoke on this.
They did, and I'm reading from my phone right now, but the name of this case, it's an appellate decision by the highest court in the state of Florida. The name of it is Johnson versus Omega Insurance Company. And they were analyzing the whole purpose of this fee statute, that the lawmakers now are saying, oh, it's unfair for insurance companies. And here's what they said, and this is a quote. The need for fee and cost reimbursement in the realm of insurance litigation is deeply rooted in public policy. Namely, the legislature recognized that it was essential to level the playing field between the economically advantaged and sophisticated insurance companies and the individual citizen. I mean, to me, that tells it all right there. That's not a Democratic statement. That's not a Republican statement. Those are our brightest minds on the Florida Supreme Court analyzing and saying the purpose of this statute that the lawmakers up in Tallahassee this week are taking away from the citizens.
Well, let's put ourselves in that insurance company boardroom for a moment, okay? And the claim comes in. Are they in some ways going to be incentivized to deny a claim or to pay less on a claim now to almost call that person's bluff? Because what is that person going to do? They don't have a checkbook with $20,000 to go pay a lawyer. They don't have money to pay for arbitration. This really incentivizes, in my mind, the insurance company to just deny claims and say, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly. I think the big picture of this bill is that the property owner is not going to be made whole in the end. If an insurance company denies a claim wrongfully or underpays the claim, there's no way for the property owner to ever become whole, even if they prove that the insurance company wrongfully denied the claim. If they hire an attorney, if they hire my firm, we can go after them, possibly, and the only way that I can get payment is to get a percentage of what they're supposed to pay on the claim originally. So they're not going to be able to afford to repair their properties in the long run, even if they prove the claim was wrongfully denied or underpaid.
And it's one thing when you give up a third of your personal injury settlement to a lawyer. That sort of makes sense in some ways. But when you start talking about, well, my roof is going to cost $20,000 to replace. In the past, okay, you still get $20,000 from the insurance company, and then they have to pay your attorney because they denied it wrongfully or underpaid or whatever. Now this is setting up a scenario where if the insurance company has to pay $20,000 for your roof, you then have to pay the lawyer a third of that, and now you've got to pay for the roof. And it's almost keeping people out of the courtroom. it's taking away the keys to the courtroom for these people.
Correct. And Justin, you're right. You said it's really denying these homeowners and business owners access to the court system. They can't afford to pay lawyers by the hour or a high retention or a high retainer.
Yeah.
The case could be drug out for 2-3 years in the courtroom. And now what this bill does, it allows insurance companies to place into the policy itself a section where it tells the homeowner, you are giving up your right to file a lawsuit ever. Just sign here, we'll lower your premium some, and you are never allowed to sue your own insurance company regardless of the situation. And most homeowners aren't sophisticated enough, and I don't want to critique that, but they don't know what rights they're giving up. They're
well,
like,
we just want to pay as little as we can.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. At the end of the day, we want to pay as little as we can. And
that's
so they're
reasonable.
all going to check that box, and you're saying, okay, insurance company, give me whatever you want, I can never sue you. We would still have the Ford Pinto if that's how we were going to live our lives. And I don't like it, and I hope something changes, but I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm nervous for the homeowners of Central Florida. What do you think? Is this going to stick?
Oh, I definitely think it's going to pass.
Really?
I'm not sure if our governor's going to sign off on it. I don't know, but it's definitely going to pass through our legislature this week, probably by tomorrow at the latest. So it's going to happen. It's unfortunate because I don't think the public and the everyday homeowner realizes what's going on in Tallahassee right now. Otherwise, there'd be a much larger outcry.
There sure would. And it's ridiculous. But again, the time is now. If you've had any sort of damage to your home, a pending claim, you haven't made the claim yet, I would call Greg right away at 321-282-1055. But when I say call Greg right away, I mean right now. He's literally going to be standing by to answer your call as soon as the show is over. And good news for you is you don't have to pay him for anything. Why not call, pick his brain, and see what you should do? Because the times, ladies and gentlemen, they are changing, and I think changing for the worse. Now, we've seen this in the workers' comp world before, where they took attorney's fees away. Injured workers really suffered from it. That came back. So hopefully this is just a little bit of a blimp, and we won't deal with this much longer. But when you check that box, it says you can go to arbitration still. Do you know how much arbitration costs a homeowner?
It's going to vary from case to case, but homeowners aren't going to be able to afford arbitration, just like they can't afford to pay their attorneys. And guess what? Even if they go to arbitration, they win, they don't get to recover attorney's fees for that. So they have to pay their attorney if they want one to go to arbitration. Yeah. They have to pay the costs and the arbitrator and the arbitration panel. So they're not going to be able to afford to do that. They just won't. And unfortunately, I believe our lawmakers realize that. But they still are moving this bill through the legislature as quickly as possible this week.
Greg Krak, keep up the good work, buddy. 321-282-1055. Thanks for going on this field trip with me today. It was fun. Beautiful office, by the way. I'm a little bit jealous. You're in better shape than I am, and your office is nicer.
I appreciate you having me, Justin.
You're a great guy. Thank you, as always, for joining us for Behind the Law. Michaela will be back next week. We will do What Did I Learn next week. No reason to do it today. See you next week for more Behind the Law.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.